ready to do the Grandma's Recipe Box Block Party February, block number 6. So we're halfway through the year with these now. So this one is nice little design here. I forget the name of it, but we've got 4 flying geese in this block, and the rest are half square triangles. The technique to make the flying geese is a little bit different than the one from last month. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and we're going to make 4 of them at a time. One method makes 4 flying geese. Okay, the instructions are going to tell you to make 1 large triangle and 4 small triangles. And on the small triangles, you will draw a diagonal line on them, and then you're going to lay them on the large triangle so it'll look like this. So your instructions are giving those very details right there. So what we're going to do is sew a 1/4 inch on each side of the line. I'm going to turn it around, get started back over here. Okay, I'm going to take my ruler and my rotary cutter, cut right down the middle. And then I have 2 large triangles, and I'm going to press each one towards the smaller triangles. Just gently push that seam out. And you'll repeat that with the other large triangle. Now I'm going to lay the other 2 triangles on here like so, and like this, so that the drawn line goes right down here. Again, so on the other side of the drawn line. We're going to do that twice. Anytime you're starting out with a corner like this into your presser foot, it's really good to have a little starter at the beginning. It helps to get you started and keeps the corner from getting bunched up or shoved down into the little opening of your throat plate. Okay, I'm going to put it on there so it's ready for the next sewing. Okay, I'm going to come over here. Okay, again, I'm going to cut right on the drawn line on both of those. So this is what the unit looks like. So I'm going to take each one of those and press it out with the seams going out. So I'll do that to all 4 of them, and as you can see, we have 4 flying geese. Now it's time to square them up. So you can use any method you want. You can use just your regular cutting ruler. This little 6-inch one works well. You can use a 6x12 or anything that you want to. You can use the Ultimate Flying Geese, and I'll show you how to use that in a minute. And then there's the wing clipper, or if you have another favorite method, then you can use that. So the first one I'm going to do is with the wing clipper by Studio 180. And this is going to be a 3.5 inch by 6.5 inch cut measurement flying geese unit. So I'm going to put this on here. The 3.5 inch marking goes right there on the corner, and the 3.5 inch, 6.5 inch are also on the seam lines. Okay, whoops, don't let that move. Okay, that gives you a 1/4 inch seam allowance above your point there. Then we're going to turn the ruler around and put these lines, 6.5 by 3.5 inch lines, on the new cut edges, and we're going to cut the other two sides. And there you have an exact 3.5 by 6.5 inch flying geese with a 1/4 inch up here. We cut off all the extra. So if you noticed last month, you might have had a little trouble getting it to be just the right size, but with this method, it works perfectly. Okay, another method that I like to use is the ultimate flying geese, and for that one it's very similar. It tells you on here the measurements. So for the 3.5, or for the 3 by 6 inch finished, it will be 3.5 by 6.5 inch unfinished. I'm going to follow that line. It's the little white line here, comes to a point, put that on there, okay, and hold that down and cut two sides. Get those out of the way. Turn my ruler around for this other side. It has the rectangle shapes on it. I'm going to put that on there, just like so. Having my corners of the ruler right there at the seam line. These right on these lines here. And again, another perfect little flying geese. Okay, if you want to use your regular cutting ruler, you can take something like this. This is a 6.5 inch square. It works really well, but you can use any size you want. For this particular one, there is a white line that's right in the middle of the 6.5 inch square. So it's just past, or just right before the 3.5, past the 2.5. That white line is going to go right in the middle of the geese unit, right here at the corner of the seams. And at the same time, I'm going to have my 3.5 by 6.5 inch measurements right here at my seam lines. All right, that's right up there. It's going to give me a 1/4 inch seam allowance up there. Make sure that's nice and straight. I'm going to hold it down and cut. As you can see, the cutting isn't the same on all sides. That's the beauty of cutting it, so that you can trim it down. You can do these with the exact size measurements, but as you can see, they aren't always going to turn out the exact size. Okay, hold that down. Again, another perfect flying geese unit. Another technique we're going to do on here is the half square triangles. So your pattern will say to draw a line down the diagonal corners like that. And let's get that to show up there. And then sew on each side of the line. You've done that before, you know that technique. You can do that because that's what it says to do. But I'm going to show you what I like to do. Instead of drawing the line, I like to take my rotary cutter and then just cut along those lines. There goes the iron beeping. We'll use that in a minute. And with my little leader in there, or starty, whatever you want to call it, I'll just sew right across here. I'm going to set my seam, press my seam towards the direction that the pattern says to, whatever that may be. Okay. Now if you take it and press it from this side, you don't always get a nice crisp seam. As you can see, you've got a lot of fabric taken up in there. So press it from the right side. Just gently push this without stretching it out. Just gently push that seam open so that it goes in all the way in that direction. Okay, we're going to show 3 different ways to square up these half square triangles. One is with the Tucker trimmer. We're going to go to the half side of it. We want a 3.5 inch square. Our square is going to be right inside the block so that I can trim all 4 sides, just like that. And as I do so, I want to make sure that my corner of the ruler is right there on the corner of the seam. I'm going to turn this around. Put the edge of the 3.5 inch square right there on the edge of the block unit and trim the other 2 sides. And again, we have our exact 3.5 inch square. Another one is the block lock ruler. And I will put the little grooved edge of the block lock ruler fits right in there, okay, so it's not going anywhere. It catches in there. That's why it's called lock. Locks right in there. Going to make sure that my 3.5 inch markings are inside the fabric, the block unit there. Trim it and turn this around and trim again. Okay, when I put this on there, I always make sure that the block lock logo is on the lower side of the unit where the seam is pressed away from it. Because if you put it on the side where the seam is pressed towards, it won't go in there right. It makes it where it comes out. You'd be trimming right there, and wouldn't be trimming in the right place. So I always try to remember that the logo goes on the side in which the seam is pressed away from it. That turns out to be a nice, exact, perfect little square. And again, if you don't have those, just take your regular ruler, and I'm going to put it so that the diagonal line on the ruler is right on my seam line. Since I'm doing a 3.5 inch square, I'm going to make sure I use the 1/2 inch side of the ruler, not the whole side. I could use the whole side, but then it would be harder to see where my 3.5 is. Over here, it's real easy to see the 3.5. So I'm going to put that on there. That's right on the line. The 3.5 inch is inside the block. I have this positioned, as with all the cutting I do, I have it positioned so it's at a convenient place for me to cut. I wouldn't start out with my 3.5 inch like this, because I can't cut that way with my right hand. If you're left-handed, then you'll have to adjust it so that it's convenient for you to cut. Okay, again, I have that right on the seam line. The line comes right to the corner there. It isn't off like that or that, but rather like that. Okay, hold it down, trim, turn it around, put my 3.5 inch lines on there again, trim, and it's perfect. So our half square triangles and our flying geese are all oversized so that you can trim them down, and then when you sew them together, you'll lay them out and put them together following the pattern instructions. And there's 3 different colors in here. So here is the Apple Crunch. These colors, we're using the spotted and some grunge in here to give you a variety of colors that work well with each other in the entire quilt and that go with the backgrounds. This is the Waldorf Salad, 3 prints. We got some cute little new prints in to use for that. And then here is the Icebox Cookies. and we got a lot of new prints in that we'll be using in the future blocks. So hope you got something out of this and enjoyed it, and let us know if you have any questions.